If you're able to carry a baby, would you opt for a machine to do it for you? Well, scientists say we're only about 1 or 2 generations away from being able to do so, actually. You could be able to grow a human life outside the body in an artificial womb. Now, it's been created for those who aren't able to have children, but it could pave the way for others to give birth without being pregnant. You've not seen these pictures before, have you, Nadia? You kind of winced.
Yeah. Well, I mean, an incredible invention for those people that can't, but at the same time, you worry where that could end up. You know, it's a bit scary. That's why I was a bit freaked when I actually saw it. I mean, I was lucky enough. I know a lot of women really suffer when they're pregnant, but I loved being pregnant. It was the only time I really loved my body. I was the most body confident. I felt like the cleverest person in the whole world, that I was just chatting to people while growing a lung. You know, I was like, I'm growing a lung in here at the minute. Yeah. So, yeah, I'll have a do. But also,
hopefully
I think...
2 lungs.
Yeah. Definitely 2. The thing is with me, I was an absolute reprobate before I got pregnant. I was a smoker, I was a drinker, I was a partier. I often say, actually, in a way, my children saved my life because I think I was on a terrible trajectory. But I got pregnant and it was almost like it was the training to fix all of that. Like, I had to stop smoking, I had to stop drinking, and it prepared me for a life of that. Because if I'd just gone and picked it up from the...
That's true.
Now, I know that's not... I'm just talking very personally.
Yeah, no, of course.
And I can see how that would have been... You know, it wouldn't have been the right thing for me. I mean, you know, sometimes when you hear about certain celebrities that have used a surrogate, not because they can't hold a baby, which is a wonderful thing, but just because it doesn't work with their schedule, I find that disgusting, and I find it really worrying that we could have a machine where employers could possibly say, well, actually, you've already had some time off for your first baby. We'd actually prefer you to have this one through a laboratory. Now, we might go, oh, that could never happen, but it could.
That's true.
I mean, look how many things we said could never happen and have happened. So it's a bit of a worrying undertone to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an amazing advancement. Like you said, you know, fertility problems can be so heartbreaking. So if it can help people that can't have the baby naturally, you know, if I'd have been in that camp, I would have taken this technology and embraced it. And I did enjoy being pregnant, you know. I think it was amazing for the bond with the child, and, you know, it was something that I loved and would do again. But I don't know. I don't think people have surrogates for different reasons, and who is anyone to judge somebody else?
Yeah.
You don't know what goes on behind closed doors.
Because we actually did a poll on this online, and we asked, would you have a baby without having to be pregnant? And actually, 34% of people said yes. Because I think the reality is some people have really difficult pregnancies.
Yeah, there could be real stories of trauma behind that.
Difficult pregnancies. If somebody just said to you, like, if you were working, said, oh, well, it's just not going to work with my schedule, so I'm going to get somebody else to have my baby, wouldn't there be a part of you that would go...
But behind that could be some real hardship of you're alone and you're the breadwinner, and it really fills you with anxiety to stop work. And
no, but I'm saying because literally you don't want your body to change. I'm afraid I would be judgmental. It's probably terrible of me, but I would.
It could be abused. You're right, but
yeah, it could be abused. That's my worry with it.
What do you reckon, Jane?
I mean, I completely understand why people use a surrogate, as in a human surrogate. You know, if they themselves can't have a child. Absolutely, I would go that route. But in my head, I would think it's still a great thing because they've got the kind of warmth and the heartbeat of a you know, a womb and a human being and a presence and the, you know, whatever it is, the residual sort of comfort that gives to a baby.
That's a really good point.
There's something very clinical about that. And I think you're right. I think, you know, throughout history, we have seen medical advancements that might help people in certain circumstances become abused. And they could become abused, as you said, by employers going, well, you don't need to take maternity leave off. You don't need to do that because you can do this.
We've got the baby farm over here.
You can do the baby farm. And, you know, I believe they're only using female scientists around this because they're trying to not let it become abused. But it will become abused.
Yeah, and it's interesting what you say, actually, because I remember when I was pregnant with my two, you know, if I were excited or if I was anxious or if I was worried about something, your baby would move in accordance to your mood. So it's almost, you know, they are feeling what you feel. And that is quite a big part, I think, I believe, of a child's growth in that time, is they are learning from the human being which they are attached to, which happens when you do human surrogacy and stuff.
Well, they say even a few days, even like with puppies, even if they miss the first few days of birth, of having those interactions with the mother, can affect who they become way down the line. So I hadn't thought of that. If you're not getting... Because they will say, oh, well, we'll create the perfect heartbeat, we'll create the perfect temperature, we'll have just the right amount of fluids. But what about the soul? What about the soul?
I do think
if the person carrying it.
It's interesting because when I was pregnant, I felt, you know, my partner Richie being as attached to the pregnancy as me. So we were abroad and it really hot, and I was sat in the shore and a jellyfish came in the shore and it went onto my hand and stung my hand, and my bump was out here, and I stood up and did that, and I flicked it onto my bump, so it stung my bump, stung my hand, and then it flicked down and stung the tops of both of my legs. So I had 4 jellyfish stings, and Richie just kind of broke down, like super emotional, and was like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen to the baby? You're heavily pregnant. And he went into panic mode and catastrophising, but also solution mode, running around, getting the lifeguard, trying to call a doctor. And it was like, you know, we were pregnant, not me, you know, and I really felt that instinct and that protectiveness from him. So there is something physical and emotional, I think, for your partner who's not pregnant.
You know,
And
I
if
think anybody, you know, a friend of mine had a surrogate, and she was so, because she couldn't have children, you know, herself, but she was so involved. And she, you know, was very involved in the woman's life, and she would be around there kind of, you know, feeling the movement and nurturing, if you like, sort of, you know, alongside her. And I think, would you feel the same way going to sort of like a laboratory
and going into your separate booth and sitting? I mean, having said all of that, if I couldn't have a child and that was on offer to me, of course I would.
But that's the only
is
thing on offer.
Yes.
But human surrogacy is not illegal.
No.
So, that is still an option. It's an interesting conversation.